Hey, what's up everybody, it's Steph from Steph Lay Films. Recently I've got some viewers asking me what camera do I use for my broadcast and live streaming and if I have any to recommend. So anyone who has worked or collaborated with me knows that I use the Panasonic GH series almost exclusively for all my professional video work and filmmaking. The Panasonic GH5 was released in early 2017 and now it's 2020. So if you do a quick search on YouTube to see if it's still relevant or should you buy the GH5 in 2020, you will have a lot of YouTubers doing these comparison videos, and so the answer is a resounding yes, yes and yes. However, this video is not about if you should buy a Panasonic GH5 in 2020, but more about why I use this camera for my broadcast and live stream. So in this video, I will talk about the top 5 reasons why I use the Panasonic GH5 for broadcast and live stream, and without further ado, let's dive right in. The first reason is IBIS, also known as in-body image stabilization. Some of you might be wondering, why do I need image stabilization for live streaming? Isn't my camera mounted on a tripod and it just stays there throughout the whole stream? Well, yes, 80% of the time, but I've done live streams in the past for clients who require the camera to be mobile. Yes, that means that the camera moves. Remember I talked about this in one of my last videos, that there's a scenario where you have to take camera 2 out of the room to interview someone who is outside the room. This will be the part where shaky hands is a no-go for your live interview stream. Well, okay, now maybe you understand why you need image stabilization for your handheld shots. But why in-body? In-body means that the camera itself has the image stabilization built in, meaning that any lens that you put on the GH5 will have image stabilization. And if your lens itself comes with image stabilization, you will get the dual IS on the GH5, which makes it super stable when you handhold it. Now that we are at the topic of image stabilization, let me add another quick tip here. There's a function called IS lock on the GH5 that makes your handheld shot unbelievably stable. To show you something more amazing, I'm going to use a telephoto zoom lens of 300mm. As you know, the longer the focal length of the lens, the more obvious the hand movements are. Well, take a look. The second reason is lens options. The Panasonic GH5 is a micro four thirds camera. It uses the micro four thirds mount, which means that it can use lenses from both Panasonic and Olympus without the use of any adapter. Here we are talking about more than 60 lenses available for use on the GH5. I wouldn't want to go into the debate of Canon or Nikon having more lenses, as come on, we are talking about much smaller micro four thirds industry compared to the DSLRs. But again, this video is not about comparing between brands and cameras. The third reason is HDMI. Again, you must be thinking, any good camera in the market nowadays has a HDMI output, no? But wait, yes and no. Yes, it has a HDMI output, but is it a full-size HDMI port output? This, in my opinion, is very important. Well, let's take a look at the most popular cameras recommended for live streaming in today's market. The Canon EOS Rebel SL2 or 200D comes with the micro HDMI. Panasonic Lumix G7 micro HDMI, Canon 80D mini HDMI, Panasonic GH4 micro HDMI, Sony A6300 micro HDMI, Sony A7 Mark II micro HDMI. In my years of working with cameras with a HDMI output port, I cannot stress how important this is to my operations. Having a full-size port from your camera means that the connection is more sturdy. I've used the Panasonic GH4, which is a micro HDMI port, in the past, and I've broken the tip before in an accident where the cable snaps off and the port head remains in the camera's HDMI port. I mean, work accidents do happen, right? As you can see, this is the connection head of a mini HDMI and how flimsy it is versus a full-size HDMI port connector. And this is especially more vulnerable when you have a very long cable, say 5 meters or more. Can you imagine this tiny port head trying to hold the weight of the long cable? I mean, you can do workarounds like taping the cable to your tripod legs, but you will definitely feel worried about that, especially for me when a cable broke before. Another point to note that it is not so easy to find a micro HDMI to full HDMI cable off the shelves, and especially so if you need one that is longer in length. The other HDMI I want to talk about is clean HDMI output. Clean HDMI output is the ability to feed a live signal from your camera sensor through the HDMI port without any of the on-screen info that's being displayed on the LCD or viewfinder. Having a clean HDMI is important because your viewers will not want to see your camera settings during broadcast, and not to mention it looks super unprofessional. I've got a previous experience of during a live broadcast of a guest speaker on stage, and the face tracking square box was on the guest speaker's face throughout the whole session because that particular video camera had no clean output. So you can imagine throughout the whole session the box was on her face and it didn't look very professional to me. The fourth reason is that the GH5 records without any time limits. Many of the DSLRs that shoot videos have a record limit about 30 minutes, which is not really what you want, especially during a live stream, which typically lasts at least 45 minutes to an hour if you're streaming a talk show, a concert, or a church event. So what happens is after 30 minutes, the video automatically stops and you have to press record again to continue recording. However, GH5 has no recording limits. Why would they put a recording limit? If you do a quick Google search, you will find many explanations behind that, but we don't go there in this video. The last reason I have is pretty special and I think is quite unique. It isn't so much as the GH5's capability, but more to Panasonic's credit on this. I'm talking about the official Panasonic Image app which you can download onto your phone from App Store or Google Play Store. It's just an app you might say, but let me show you why it made it into my top 5 reasons. Once you download and open the app and sync it to your GH5, you actually have a live view of what your GH5 is capturing. So if you set your camera facing you, how do you know that you are properly framed and making sure everything is perfect before you hit the record button? Well, there is the flip screen, but first it's so small and so far away, you can't operate the camera when you're seated so far away. I usually set my focus to face tracking when I do my YouTube videos, and the Image app allows you to make sure you can tap your face and locks focus on your face before you begin your shoot. And did I mention you can press the record button using your Image app to start the ball rolling? And if you find your handphone too small, you can do an upgrade to an iPad Pro where the screen is probably even larger than your camera. So there you have it. I hope this video has given you a good idea of why I use the Panasonic GH5 exclusively for broadcast and live stream. I also use the GH5 a lot for my weddings, filmmakings, and shooting videos for my corporate clients, which perhaps in the future I may make a video on that, should you buy the GH5 in 2030? Before I end this video, I would like to say it really means a lot to me if you found the information useful and if you can give this video a like, so it encourages me to continue making such videos for you. And of course, don't forget to subscribe and click on the notification bell if you want to learn more about photography and videography on this channel. And as always, if you have any questions, please let me know.